Thank you. So welcome to practice. Thanks if you're joining me live as we welcome in October, first practice for October. And we're going to start in sitting. So just bring yourself, if you've got a bolster, maybe come up and sit on your bolster. If you haven't, you could just use a couple of blocks or just come and sit through the hips, whatever feels comfortable. And we're going to turn the palms just up to the sky, just taking a little bit of a mudra for focus this evening. So come and connect the thumb and that first finger together, create a little bit of an O shape, and then just allow the other fingers to really soften. So we just allow the idea of these thumbs and the first finger to create a little bit of space, create a little bit of sense of focus, and just allow the shoulders to soften. If you're comfortable, you could close the eyes or just soften the gaze, but we're going to start to just draw in really some stillness. So this week in practice is we're working with the theme of less is more. So perhaps at the moment, less for you means doing less. Perhaps less means thinking less or analysing less. Maybe less is just backing off a little bit from a person, a relationship, even a feeling. But just really allow this idea to land really within the body, the mind. Less is more. And we perhaps allow this sense of taking away or reducing in terms of stress or tension as well. So just start to allow maybe the shoulders to soften away from the ears, less tension in the shoulders. Perhaps just take a little bit of a wave through the spine and just start to allow the fingertips to be nice and soft. Beginning just to draw some awareness of maybe the sensation of your hands just on your clothing, the sensation of your hips just pressing down. And begin to just hold a sense of softness here, really within the body, within the mind. And within this sense of softness, let's just begin to quieten the mind. So just taking a moment in some stillness, in some quiet, to maybe let your thoughts settle. If there's things that are whirling around from the day, just begin to allow almost the volume to turn down within your mind. And also physically, just allow some awareness just into the body, maybe just noticing how it's feeling. Any pain or discomfort, perhaps allowing that to just soften a little bit. Perhaps just welcoming in a little bit less pain or dis-ease in this practice. And we're going to take a really natural, relaxed breath this evening. So I just want you to release the thumb and the first fingers now. So you've got nice wide open palm. Soften into the hands, and we're going to take our right hand just onto our belly and just take a few moments without any force, just with real ease, to connect to your breath here. So begin just to notice your really natural breath without any force. Just noticing your belly moving just underneath your hand, connecting just around our third chakra, our solar plexus chakra. And just take a few moments just to allow your breath to come and to go. Again, no force, no big breaths here. And then come and release your right hand. We're going to take our left hand around our chest area, connect it to that heart space, spread the fingertips wide, allow your palm just to rest on the center of the chest. And again, just come and do the same. Take a few moments to breathe, just nice and naturally here. There's no need to force the breath or really expand the breath. Just allow some softness with your breath. Less is more here. And then releasing your left hand just away, taking it onto your knee or your thigh, whatever feels comfortable. Come and draw the palms together. We're going to give the hands a little bit of a rub here. So just start to create a little bit of warmth through the hands. And then let's come and place the hands just over the eyes, the eye sockets, maybe even the forehead, and just allow the warmth of your hands to really soften your mind, soften your thoughts. Take a moment just to breathe here. And then opening your eyes, just come and give yourself a little bit of a massage into the back of the head. So you might want to come into the nape of the neck a little bit just with your fingertips. Just give yourself a little bit of a massage here. And then just work your way down into the shoulders, just welcoming a little bit more warmth into your shoulders. Just a little bit of a massage into the top of the shoulders. And then if you're sat cross-legged, we're going to open the legs and just recross the legs. So just give yourself a little moment to kind of move the body just gently. Placing the hands onto the knees or the thighs. We're going to start just by taking some rib and shoulder circles. So I want you to imagine you're drawing a circle here, really just from the center of the belly, from the belly button. So just moving from right to left. And you can allow your head and neck to move with you. You can start to allow the chest to come forwards and then the chest just to soften. And again, maybe think about just slowing the movements down this evening. We're going to do a little bit of work on just flow and some movement, and then we'll do some slower things with our yin. But again, just maybe choose to back off a little bit with your speed of everything this evening. And then let's just go a couple of circles the other way. So again, can you allow your head and neck to move? Maybe just send your gaze with you, just gazing forwards and out, and then softening your chin down to your chest as we go. And then coming back to center, just take a few waves side to side now. So allow your right shoulder to come to your right knee, left shoulder to left knee. So you're just moving through the rib cage again, just nice and softly. And we're going to start to bring a little bit of movement just in with the shoulders. So if you come and squeeze the shoulder blades together, open the arms nice and wide here, spread the fingertips wide. And then as you come forwards, we're going to drop the chin to the chest and just draw the palms together. So just begin to create some waves here. You might want to think about using these waves to almost create and clear a little bit of air. So in order to just kind of reset a little bit here, perhaps just wave away the day or create a little bit of space around you just to welcome in this practice, welcome in the beginning of a new month as well. And at the end of the next one, just come and give yourself a little bit of a hug. So if you wrap your arms around the upper body, you can interlace those elbows, give yourself a little bit of a hug just round through the shoulders. And then we're going to come and hook onto the elbow. So it looks a little bit like this to do some twisting motions. So you're going to reach the arms into the air. If you take hold of each elbow just with your hand, reach the elbows towards the edge. You can give yourself a really nice stretch here just into the shoulders. And then just come and twist over to the right. You might find you haven't got lots of rotational movement here. That's okay. But just take a few little twists in this position. When we've got our hips really fixed, then we tend to not move lots in this position. But you can just move through the middle of the back and just look from right to left as you go, almost like you're framing your face a little bit here with your arms. And then releasing the hands completely, just take a little bit of a roll through the shoulders again, just releasing any tension here. Can you slow it down just as you move? Take a few in one direction and then a few just in the opposite direction. And then we're going to work a little bit deeper on the twist, but we're going to come so that the hips can move a bit more. So if you happen to be on the knees, you're going to come into a hero pose. Now, I know knees don't work for everyone. If you have a bolster, sometimes it's nice just to help the knees out a bit and sink the bolster between the knees or the hips. That can take the pressure off. If either of those are too uncomfortable on the knees, do feel free to sit anywhere that feels comfortable. But you can come and sit up on the knees in some way, great. You're going to draw the palms together and we're going to imagine that we're just drawing a little bit of a bow and arrow. So if you take your right palm, draw it away from your left and really see if you can rotate all the way to the back of the mat or behind you. Begin to sweep your right hand to meet your left and we're just going to work through that right side to start with. So imagine you just draw in that kind of bow and arrow shape. Right hand, right arm moves away from the left. And think about the hips beginning to move a little bit here. Hopefully you can find that you can twist a little bit deeper in this position. Allow the lower back to rotate as well, yeah. And just send your gaze with you. When we're doing this bow and arrow, perhaps just imagine that you're releasing anything that you don't need, sending it away from the body. And then let's come to the left. So draw your bow and arrow with your left arm, move it away from your right palm, release it behind you, send it off into the universe, the world, and then just take a few little waves here. Again, really allow the middle of the back, the lower hips, the lower back to rotate as well, almost like you're reaching really as far round as you can to the back of the mat or back of the room. And then coming back to center, come and reach the arms into the air. Let's take Anjali Mudra. And then come and draw the arms nice and wide. Cocoon yourself here just in this space. Draw the palms together, thumbs and fingertips meeting just at the center of the chest. From here, we're going to come into tabletop. So if you guide yourself all the way down. Now, a couple of options with blocks this evening. If you want to work with the blocks and your hands down on the blocks in tabletop, feel free. A little bit of work through the shoulders using the blocks can just deepen some stretch here. So up to you. Hands could come down, we could bring palms down. And just stack the knees underneath the hips. Take a few little waves here, just forwards, backwards to begin with. And as you do this, if you're using the blocks, you could just push the blocks away a little bit further. Maybe just starting to stretch into the shoulders again. No force, back off, just take it slow. Connect to your breath here as we move, taking a breath in to come forwards and maybe a little bit of a longer breath out, again, without too much force. Just allow the breath to wave as you wave as well. And then coming back to center here, just bringing the hands onto the blocks or the floor. Reach your right arm to your right ear, and you're going to take that nice big twist and rotation around. So your left hand can stay on the block or the floor, and just start to scoop the right arm up and around. So we come up to the right ear, top of the mat, and then all the way behind. You could add the hips in a little bit here. As you draw your right arm behind you, you could sink those hips down and away. And again, just start to create some waves through the back, a little bit of rotation here, maybe looking to the side of the body. And one more here with your wave. We're going to do the same on the left side. So if you plant your right hand down, reach the left arm to the left ear. And again, you could just stay with the arm, or you could start to dip the hips to the heels again, whatever feels good. Slow it down, no need to rush, just feel into the movement, really feel into the space. Think about moving with your fingertips from the top to the back of the mat, so just using the whole space around you. And then we're going to crisscross at the wrist, which always feels a bit strange, I know, but you're going to crisscross at the wrists. And we're going to come into a little bit of a child's pose in this position. So you could use the blocks, push the blocks away from you, let your head just relax down, or you could take the blocks away and just come and crisscross at the wrists or even at the elbows, and just allow yourself a little bit of a stretch here. So working with the shoulders, when you crisscross those wrists or hands, you just allow a little bit of a deeper stretch into the shoulders. Yeah, so you could crisscross at those hands. And just begin to allow your head to soften. Sometimes it feels like your head's just floating a little bit here. Sometimes you can soften your forehead down. But just see what works for you. Finding a gentle wave just with your breath. Soften into your belly. Maybe just notice those big toes coming together, knees apart. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, just come back into tabletop position. We're going to prep the blocks. We're going to do a bit of work with the hips. So if you've got the blocks top of the mat and maybe long waist position, so you've just got them ready. Yeah. And if you haven't got blocks, don't worry. From tabletop position, just start to give the hips a nice big move this time. So we're going to circle the hips around, hands can press down, and you can really begin to wave into the spine. So again, slow it down, move just nice and softly, a little bit like water. Just allow those elbows to soften, be nice and fluid here with your movements. And just take a few the opposite direction. So just circling round, yeah, nice. And then let's begin to lift our right knee just away from the earth. You're going to take a little bit of a circle into your right hip and knee. And again, as you're here, you might want to just bend into those elbows and take a little bit of a wave through the spine, just to start to move through the whole body. And take a few just circles the opposite direction. So begin to wave that right hip and knee around the opposite direction. Step your right foot forward. So we're going to come into a low warrior. Now your hands could come onto the block here just to lift yourself up. You could take the block long position. We could go a little flatter here, whatever feels good. And just take a moment to allow the head and neck to lift up if we can. Your fingertips or your palms could soften down. Curl your left toes under, press that left knee up to the sky, come into a full lunge position. And again, just pause for a moment here, really dig the toes down, anchor your feet into the earth here. Yeah, really nice. Pause. Soften that left knee down, uncurl through the left toes, and just take a few little waves. You could press your hands onto the blocks still here, long ways or short ways. Just use the blocks to maybe guide that movement, bending into your right knee, and then just starting to draw long through that right leg. We've got that right heel just pressing down, a bit of a crack through my ankle there. And just take a few little waves. Guide your right knee underneath your right hip, so tabletop position. We're going to do that again just with our left hip lifting up. So hands could come away from the blocks and just start to circle into your left hip, left knee. Or we could pop the hands on the blocks just to rise us up a little bit here. Again, think about those elbows just softening, a little bit more of a wave just through your spine, maybe just sending your head and neck with you. Lovely, and just work into that left hip. At the end of the next one, we're going to step that left foot forward. So again, long ways with the blocks, short ways with the blocks, or without. Allowing that right hip just to shine forwards, lifting up through the head and the neck. Take a moment just to pause here. Curl your right toes under. We're going to press that knee up to the sky, anchor the toes down, and then lengthen through the back leg, lifting the knee away from the earth. And again, just pausing here, staying with the breath. Soften that right knee down. We're going to uncurl through the toes. And again, just take a few gentle waves. You could bring the blocks a little closer towards you. And then just bending into your left knee, left foot. Again, think about just pressing the weight into the sole of that left foot. And then drawing your left toes, left foot up to the sky. One more wave here. We're going to come back into tabletop and then into down dog. So up to you. Down dog can be nice with the blocks. They shouldn't move anywhere, but just be mindful of slippy mats. Hands are going to press down, curl the toes under, blocks or no blocks, lift the hips high. Let's come into a down dog, just taking a little bit of a walk out. Maybe just allowing the knees to bend, heels to hang down. And then let's begin to bend both knees. So press the heels down, bend both knees, and then lift the hips into the air, pressing the legs long. Think about creating a bit of a diamond shape here just through the body. And then softening the knees down, uncurl through the toes, child's pose here, up to you. You could just have your arms on the blocks, lengthening through the fingertips and just give yourself a bit of a stretch into the shoulders, hands on the blocks, or we could pop the blocks just away and soften the palms down. Perhaps think about just creating a bit of space here with your arms in child's pose in this practice. So allowing a bit of openness just through the shoulders. And again, if we're using the blocks, then we can just push the blocks away from us, almost like we're lengthening a little bit deeper into the shoulders here. And coming back to your breath in this shape. And working really with this idea of just finding a little bit of simplicity. Often this idea of just doing a little bit less to create a bit more space is all that we need just to kind of calm this nervous system down, taking away that stress, that fight, flight response, really just into our slow, restorative, calmer system. Take a couple more moments just to breathe easy here. And when you're ready, we're going to pop the blocks to one side and just find yourself a bit of space top and the bottom of the mat, tabletop position here. Come and curl the toes under, take a breath in. We're going to come into down dog, so lift the hips nice and high, lengthen through the back of the legs. Take a bit of a walk out here, just bending one knee, bending the other. And then we're going to step that right foot forwards to come back into a lunge. So your right foot is going to step between the hands. The left knee is nice and long, back of the left knee is pointing up to the sky. And we're going to look to the top of the mat. So just pause for a moment here. Great. Keeping your left hand down, sweep your right arm to your right ear and take a nice big circle shape all the way behind you. We're going to take 3 sweeps here. So right arm to right ear, send the right arm behind to the back of the mat. And then sweeping that right arm to the right ear. Last one here. Great. Now, two options. You could step your right foot back into a downward facing dog, or you could come into plank. So you could come all the way into plank pose here. Nice, just staying strong through the arms. Or we could come into downward facing dog, whatever feels good if you're in plank position. A little bit of a hold here. And then we'll all meet back in tabletop. So soften the knees down, uncurl through the toes, and just take a few little waves forwards and backwards. And as we're doing these shapes this evening, often in every class we kind of do some lunges or low lunges, but I really just want you to kind of slow things down a little bit. So you'll notice that we're pausing with the poses as opposed to moving really quickly. So just think about that when we do it on the other side. When you're ready, let's curl the toes under, lift the hips nice and high, lengthen through the back of the legs, and just take a little bit of a walk out, bend one knee, bend the other. And then we're going to step that left foot forwards again. So between the hands, step your left foot to the top of the mat, keep that right knee lifted, and come and pause here for a moment. Soften into your shoulders, lift up through your head and neck, and really anchor your feet down into the earth. Breathe easy here. Two options. Left foot is going to step back to meet the right, or we're going to come into down dog, all the way back to down dog from here. So up to you. If you're in plank pose, then really keep the knees nice and tight, shoulders nice and strong. Hold and hover for a moment here. And then let's meet back in tabletop. Uncurl through the toes, soften the knees down, and just take a few little waves forwards and backwards, maybe just starting to dip the hips down. Okay, so we're going to do that again, that little sequence, but we're going to add just a little bit more in. So again, keep it really simple, but just slow it down. So curl the toes under, lift the hips nice and high. Let's come back into down dog. Give yourself a little bit of a walk out here. Maybe you could bend both knees, whatever feels good. Now, right foot is going to step forward, so we're going to come back into that low lunge position. Now, option from here, we could stay here, really anchoring the feet, the toes to the earth. Now, your second option, see if you can bring your palms together and just balance here. It's a bit of a challenge. Nice, well done. It gets that thigh working. Pause. Again, find your focus here. Stay with it. Breathe, just keep it nice and simple. Press the hands down, step back plank or down dog, up to you. If you're in down dog, you could move those knees. If you're in plank, stay nice and strong, squeeze the knees, strong through the arms. Back to tabletop, soften the knees down, uncurl through the toes, and up to you. Forwards, backwards, maybe side to side. If you want to come off the wrists just for a moment, feel free. Yeah, just come off the wrists or the knees. Just take any movement that feels good. Yeah, nice. Last one here. Same again. Curl the toes under. We're going to meet back in down dog. Lift the hips nice and high. Begin to walk it out here. Now, stepping that left foot forwards back into that full low lunge. We could stay here. Or once you've got your balance, press the hands together. See if you can lift up and just anchor the palms into the center of the chest. Nice. So pause. Breathe. Lift up through the head and neck. One more breath. Hands come down, left foot to meet the right, plank or down dog. Step the feet back to the back of the mat, or stay strong just in your plank, hugging the tummy in. Hold here. We're going to meet back in tabletop. Knees come down, uncurl through the toes, child's pose here. Either arms open wide or crisscross, maybe at the wrists or even at the elbows. And just begin to soften the forehead down. Nice, yeah. So just finding a moment here just to breathe again, allowing your breath just to come and go. Anchoring again, just in this present moment with your breath. 2 more breaths. Soften your palms, soften your shoulders. Okay, we're going to come back into tabletop. A few little cat-cows. Now, up to you. Can be nice to do some cat-cows with blocks underneath the hands. So if you've got blocks, you could pop them back under, or you could go without. Blocks generally mean that we work a bit more into the upper back area, but up to you. Hands down, hands on blocks. Start to drop the chin down to the chest, round the back, and really think about pushing and pressing the palms down into the earth here. And then begin to bend into the elbows. We're going to lift up through the head and neck, a bit of an arch through the back here, and look to the top of the mat. So again, start to find a bit of softness here between each movement, waving through the spine as you go, and really just pressing those hands into the earth, bending into the elbows, and start to think about, rather than this being two separate shapes or movements or poses, can you allow a little bit more fluidity between each shape? So as soon as one movement finishes, just begin the next. So move between your cat and cow a little bit more softly. Let's take a couple more here. Really anchoring the hands, the fingertips into the earth, bending into those elbows. And then the last one here, we're going to come off the knees, coming off the wrists. And you're going to come and sit just so that you're in butterfly shape, actually. Feet together, knees apart, giving the knees a little bit of a rub, the thighs a little bit of a rub. And then just start to give the knees a little bit of a wave using your hands. So just guide the knees apart, guide the knees together. And you might want to use your hands to just encourage a gentle little bit of a stretch into butterfly. And then we're going to start to come into a little bit of yin now. So a couple of options here just to explore. You might want to bring your blocks underneath the knees. Now, sometimes the blocks underneath the knees feel really far away, certainly in butterfly. You could pop your blocks just underneath that upper thigh. So bringing it kind of slightly further away from the knees, that works quite well. If you have a bolster, one option may be to bring it behind you and allow a little bit more of an arch or a back bend. So you could tuck the bolster just into your hips here, and then just start to guide the body down, letting your head just rest on the top of the bolster. Hands could press by the side of the body. If you haven't got a bolster, you could just use some blocks or cushions. And just be mindful of necks here. So sometimes it feels a little much for neck, so you could prop something underneath your neck if you've got that bolster. But you really want to think about just mirroring your bolster along the length of your back, along the length of the spine, and just beginning to settle the feet together, settle the knees apart, hands can rest by the side of the body, and we can just begin to find some openness here. So again, come back to this idea of maybe a little bit less, feeling more. No need to really force the body. Yin really is a practice of finding some simplicity, moving away from really what the shape looks like or technique in any way. Yin really is all about slowing down, stopping, just finding some simplicity with the shapes that we're creating here. And within this space, we can just start to feel a little bit more. So just starting to really welcome in some quiet, some ease, balancing out with the busyness perhaps of your day or just life in general. We're going to hold our shapes this evening for about 3 minutes. In yin, we can do anything from really 2 or 3 minutes up to 10. So we're going to hold these shapes for about 3 minutes this evening. And again, if you need to adjust, then feel free. Try not to come out of the shape, but just use any props or any little adjustments that maybe will help you to feel a little bit more comfortable in the shape. Now with each shape that we do, each pose that we do in this yin, I'm just going to give you a little bit of an affirmation to perhaps just take in, absorb. You can let it completely wash over you. It doesn't need to resonate. Or you can allow it just to kind of settle within the mind. And we're going to start with the affirmation, I allow myself to rest. I allow myself to rest. Closing your eyes or softening your gaze here. Less stimulus, less light. Less things to distract your attention. Come into some darkness. And allow yourself to rest here. Less than a minute to go. So just starting to think about moving, but without the need to have to move just yet. We're going to take our hands just onto the outside of the knees to begin with, and simply draw the knees together so that the feet are planting down, the knees are pointing up to the sky. And rather than trying to sit ourselves all the way up from here, we're going to roll onto the side of the body. So if you've got the bolster behind you, then you can just pop it out to the side so that you're kind of just lying on the side of the body. The knees can stack, the feet can stack. Just take a little bit of a moment on the left or right hand side. And then come and take a breath in. On your exhale, just press your hands into the earth. Let's come and guide ourselves just into a little bit of an upright position here. And then when you're ready, just come into sitting, any comfortable seated position that feels good. And we're going to take a few just cat-cows in sitting. So hands on the knees or the thighs. Drop the chin to the chest. Take a wave just into the back here. And then begin to guide the heart, the shoulders forwards, lifting up through the head and neck. And again, just slow this down. Take a few just gentle waves, inviting in a little bit of movement after some of the stillness. And then we're going to start to bend the knees. Plant the feet just down to the floor, and we're going to use the long side of the mat. So if you're on the short side, you might want to come so you've got all the length of the mat here. And if you've got a bolster, cushions, props, then you're going to take it to kind of the top right-hand corner of the mat, or just somewhere around the corner anyway. We're going to use the space to come into deer pose. So from here, you're going to drop your left knee down into that little half butterfly shape. And then we're going to guide our right knee behind us. So we come into this little zigzag, always reminds me of a little like lightning bolt shape. If that right knee isn't happy or right leg isn't happy, we could straighten it, always an option. And then we're going to use our bolster to give us a bit of a twist. Of all those nice twists that we did at the beginning, we're going to use this to twist around. So rather than staying forwards with the hips, you're going to come over towards your left knee, left thigh. And we could fold all the way forwards, just resting our head onto the bolster. That's one option. You could use the bolster if you've got a bolster to prop upright and just prop your forehead onto the bolster, maybe just giving it a bit of a hug. And if you've not got bolster, you might just want to use some blocks or pillows, just so you can allow the body to fold forwards. So just begin to feel into the shape. If there's any adjustments that you need to do, then feel free just to do them. And then begin to welcome back in this sense of stillness without the need to, again, have to think about technique or what it looks like, keeping it simple, just feel into the shape. And really just allow yourself to be here. What is it that you need to do less of in order to create a little bit more of something else? Saying no to one thing may mean saying yes to something else. And softening your eyes, closing down your gaze. We've got just over another minute here, so just feel into the stillness. And then beginning just to welcome in the affirmation. I let go and go with the flow of life. I let go and go with the flow of life. So just beginning to think about moving here, again without actually moving. We're going to come up in a couple of stages. So wherever your arms are, wherever your props are, let's just begin to press the hands into the earth. So just anchor the fingertips down and then just press the weight into the hands, the palms, just rise the upper body up. Just taking a little bit of a moment in this position. And then taking your time, we're going to come back to the position we started in, where we've got both knees up to the sky, both feet just pressing down, and come and give yourself a hug with the knees. So allow any tension or rotation with the hip muscles, come into neutral with the hips, bring the knees together, bring the arms together, maybe drop the chin onto the chest, just take a little bit of a moment here. You could just drop your elbows onto the knees and come into a little bit of a prayer position, or even let your forehead rest onto your third eye with your thumbs. Any of those options, just to really neutralize the hips here. And then keeping the knees and the feet close together, just take your hands behind you. Take a few gentle seated windscreen wipers. Again, let the knees be nice and close. So rather than having them wide where we're opening those hips and rotating the hips, just take the focus, the awareness into your back here, rather than the hips doing that big open movement again. And then we're going to come to the other side. So again, bolsters can be quite heavy. So up to you if you just want to turn around, that's absolutely fine. If you want to bring your bolster or your props just to the top sort of left hand corner of the mat. And again, just thinking about using the whole space on the long edge of the mat, you're going to drop the right knee down to create that half diamond, half butterfly shape. Now our left hip, left leg is going to be guided behind us. You could use your hand to do this. And if it's too much on knee or hip, you could straighten leg. Sometimes padding underneath knee as well can work to get here. And then before we come into the shape again, just start to create a bit of rotation here through the upper body. So you're not really facing the same way as your hips, you're facing really the right thigh or the right knee. And then just beginning to fold forward, so allowing your upper body to really surrender to being here. You could prop up through your bolster or some blocks. You could take your bolster on that little angle if you want to take the intensity away. It's a little less intense for the hips if you're a bit more upright, so up to you. And find whatever shape works for you. Perhaps just backing off in order to go deeper, setting yourself up. It doesn't need to look the same this side as your other side. And then just allowing the affirmation, the words. I create space to be welcomed in to the body. So I create space. I create space. We're just over halfway, so come back to just feeling into the stillness, feeling into the space that you're just working with on your mat. Space that you're just giving your mind simply by practicing yin. So just starting to bring your awareness back into maybe your physical body and starting to think about moving, but without moving just yet. Maybe give the toes a little bit of a wiggle. And then guide your hands down to the earth, maybe just feeling for your floor or your mat, and then anchoring your hands down, just press your way into your palms, just rise that upper body, head and neck up to start with. Take a little bit of a pause here. And then as a little mini rebound, we're going to guide the legs to the end of the mat and just straighten them. So just bring the legs so that they're nice and straight, hips can rest down. And just really gently bend into the knees, dig the heels down, maybe a little circle into the ankles here. Again, just taking away any rotation of the hips, bring the knees and the feet nice and close here. Just create some gentle movement. And then in yin, there's really only one standing posture, which I'm going to show you. I don't teach it very often in yin, but it is a really nice one, particularly when we're thinking about creating a bit of space. But if you don't like this, then I'm going to give you another option. So it's called dangle. The only standing pose in yin is called dangle. It isn't always the best if you've got dizziness, blood pressure, sort of neck issues. So up to you. But it is in standing where you're folding forwards. Bolster is ideal here. And you're coming into a forward fold with either the hands just around the bolster or maybe supporting your forehead. So it's here in this shape. This is dangle, called dangle. So that's one option. Second option, if not, maybe to come into a bit more of a supported child's pose. If you think head and neck look like that, you could bring bolster in front, knees apart, and then just allow that belly, head and neck to drape forwards, maybe supporting just underneath your cheeks, your head with your forearms, or even just hugging around the bolster and allowing the chest just to rest down. So it's up to you. And with your dangle shape, really, and when we're here for a couple of minutes, you might want to find that your knees bend, so you anchor your feet down, you press your toes down, you let your heels just hang down, and you just start to find a little bit of length in the back of the legs, but it's not about necessarily straightening the knees. You can just really let the knees bend and just allow the upper body to really dangle forward. So up to you. If you're in that dangle position, we're not going to do the full 3 minutes because like I said, sometimes it can be a little much. But it can feel really nice just to surrender to being here, just allowing your whole body, your whole mind is kind of literally turned upside down here, like you're almost emptying it or shaking out the busyness of the mind. So either this is an option or your child's pose. And we're going to take the affirmation here. I release all my fears and worries now. I release all my fears and worries now. So just a couple more breaths here. So if you're in the dangle pose, to come out of this, rather than actually standing up, we're going to come down to the floor just so that our head and neck can adjust a little bit easier. So if you just pop the bolster or whatever you've got to one side and just give yourself a little minute in tabletop. So if you press your hands down, bring your knees down. If you're in your child pose, come and do the same. Just guide your hands under the shoulders and we'll all just meet back in that little tabletop position. Yeah, just on all fours and just give your head and neck a little minute to kind of adjust here. And then without moving too fast, we're going to come back into sitting again, just to allow the head and neck to adjust for kind of a moment. So just come back into sitting when you're ready and just keeping it really simple. Come and bring your hands just into the centre of the chest or connect your thumbs just into that third eye, whatever feels comfortable, and just take a moment to pause here. Maybe a lift up through the head and the neck, let the shoulders move away from the ears. Maybe you could take a gentle little wave through the shoulders. And then when you're ready from here, we're going to set ourselves up for relaxation. So I'm going to do a little bit, I've got a little bit of like a meditation poem to share with you. So when you're ready, if you want to take a few moments with bolster underneath your knees or do full relaxation with bolster underneath the knees, do feel free. It's always quite a nice way to let the feet relax a little bit. And prop underneath your head and neck if you need to. Feel free to sit up, grab a drink, just really take whatever cushioning and support that you need here. And we'll just come and lie on our back, letting the palms just rest, letting the back of the hands just meet the earth, fingertips nice and soft, shoulders relaxed. Take a moment to maybe turn out any lights. Again, just thinking about less being more, less stimulation, less things that may try and detract your attention a little bit. And really just come to allow the body to settle. Again, I'm not going to kind of bring you around like quickly. So I'm going to share with you this little meditation relaxation, and then I'm just going to give you a little bit longer. So do feel free to take as kind of long as you need here. So just starting by letting your eyes close, just softening through your gaze, letting your shoulders just relax away from your ears, letting the hands, the arms just fall to wherever they feel most comfortable. Beginning to soften the belly, the hips, the knees, the ankles, the toes, the heels. And really just welcoming in the simplicity of this shape. There's nothing complex about physically being in Shavasana, but it can often be a little bit of a mental challenge to be here, particularly if you are feeling a little overstimulated and things still feel a little busy. But just begin to really surrender to just letting go. Trusting that your body can just be here in this space, not fixing or hyper focusing on any one thing, thought, or feeling in particular here. And just beginning to come back to your breath. So just noticing that wave of air, maybe just moving in and out softly. Perhaps just feeling for your breath or Noticing the sound, the movement that you have, our breath is a really complex process, but actually when we don't think about it, it's really simple. It just happens naturally without any kind of thought or encouragement. She let go without a thought or a word. She let go. She let go of the fear. She let go of any judgment. She let go of any opinions swarming around in her head. She let go of the indecision. She let go of all the reasons, wholly, completely, without hesitation or worry. She simply let go. She didn't ask for any advice or read a book or research. She simply let go. She let go of the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her moving forwards. She let go of the planning, the calculations. She just let go. Like a leaf falling from the tree, she just let go. There was no effort, and there was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was. In the space of letting go, she allowed it to happen and simply let it be. She let go. Take as long as you need just to be here in this space, just welcoming in, letting go, feeling into less being more. Namaste. Thanks for joining me.